Hello, everyone. This is Jessica with the Two Sticks and String podcast, a podcast all about knitting, crochet, cross stitch, K-pop, and cats. If any of those things are of interest to you, welcome aboard. Welcome to the family. And if you are a returning viewer, thanks for coming back. Make sure to hit the subscribe button and to hit the bell if you always want to be one of the first ones to catch my new podcast updates. Since I don't have a regular updating schedule, that's probably the best way to make sure you are able to see my videos when they come out. So, if you want to find me, I am on Instagram as Armywifeknitlife or Armywifeknitlife DStash. You can find me on Ravelry as Armywifeknitlife because there's Ravelry only lets you have so many characters in a username, but there's also the Ravelry podcast group, Two Sticks and String. Just look for Patrol the Owl. He's the owl at the beginning of every single podcast. He is our group logo, and when you find him, you'll know you are in the right spot. So, this is my second time recording, so sorry about that little rushed, but I want to get back to all the fun things I was talking about. So, announcements. I only have one major announcement right now, and that is that the first month of the Color Your Stash Mal is over, and I have had so many projects pop up already, and I'm loving seeing them. For those that don't know, and you might be new here, that's very possible, Color Your Stash is a make-along that I am hosting for the entire year, and my only thing is I want you to focus on using all of the colors in your stash, not just the ones that are in your comfort zone. So this month, January, because today is January 31st, the color of the month was blue. February, the color of the month is pink. Hooray! And I do not care what kind of pink it is. It can be pastel, it can be neon, it can just be plain pink. As long as it is a pink hue, it is good to go. It can be in any fiber craft. Sewing, cross stitch, knitting, crochet, tatting, latch hooking. I don't care. I just want you to use all these colors. And because I know I have skeins in my stash that are colors that are out of my comfort zone and I don't always feel comfortable with them. So like last month I wore an orange color. This time I'm wearing yellow, which is another one of my out of my comfort zone colors. So I am trying really hard to be cognizant of everything in my closet, and I'm trying to do the same with my stash so that things don't linger. And so I hope that you will participate. This is going to be mostly on Instagram. Just use hashtag ColorYourStash2022 and I will be able to see it that way. Also, it is on Ravelry as well, but I wanted to make sure that there was a place that you could safely use if Ravelry is not a safe spot for you. So Instagram it is. If you finish a project with the featured color in that month, you get double entries. For our prizes, we have quarterly prizes. So our first one will be in March. It's a pattern prize, and as long as it is under $7 or $8, then if you win for that month, you will be able to have a prize given for me. So just make sure that there's a link available so I know where to give it to you. As I said, finished objects are worth 2 entries for each month. But if you are just posting progress pictures, that's okay too, because it means you're working on your things, and that's my ultimate goal for y'all and for me as well. So, as I said, Color Your Stash 2022, year long. At the end of the year, there is a big grand prize with more than 5 skeins of fingering weight yarn headed your way. There's a project bag. There might be a few extra goodies. Who knows? You'll have to wait and see. So let's get started on the finished objects that I have. The first one is my Kato Cowl by Aroha Knits. She is a Mowry designer, and her work is just beautiful. So I did the size large, and this is in Juniper Moon Patagonia Merino. It is 100% organic merino, in the colorways Juniper as the green, light gray, and Cardinal. Now, something to note is that I am not the greatest when it comes to grafting, and that is what you have to do on this project. So there are some spots in here. There's nothing wrong with the pattern. It is just my skills not being great. So like you can see it here. Yeah. But that's okay, because I understand that I have a weakness and I can work to get better on it. But this is so soft and cozy and warm. I love it. I love it so much. It's fun. This is traditional Mowry designs. So it's very special, and I am all about appreciating other cultures. So that's my first finished object. My second finished object, something you've never even, most of these you haven't seen before, let's be honest, is this BunBun. So cute. I made this for my mother for Valentine's Day. She's going to be here. So this is made out of what was sparkling seaweed at the time, in the Pacific worsted yarn base, and it was the coral colorway. Sorry, I had a little brain freeze right there for a second. She is now Shipwrecked Sheep. She's gone through a few different name iterations, so if you don't recognize Sparkling Seaweed or Shipwrecked Sheep, you might recognize Bayou City Yarn Co. because I have talked about them on this podcast before. But this BunBun is adorable. I leave the nose off because I don't think it's really necessary, but I think it's so stinking cute. And there's a little tail as well. So very small and just a little bit of stuffing and you're good to go. Safety eyes came from Amazon like 100 years ago, it feels like. But so that is BunBun. I call her Mama Bun. The next thing that you've seen is all my other finished objects are going to require stam. So we have another Easy Pussy hat by Elizabeth Morrison. This is Knit Picks Felici worsted in the hopscotch colorway. And I did make the brim a little longer because I like hats that actually fully cover my ears, not just like to where the lobe ends. It drives me nuts because if they peek out, my ears get cold and I don't like my ears cold. So we have our brim and it is super long. But as I said, that's how I like my hats. So I figured anyone else who was going to be wearing it would appreciate it as well. So there's that. I also did finish my Desert Vista Dye Works socks for the month. However, I've already gifted them to their intended recipient, which is my friend Alicia. So I will try to insert a picture here. And if not, they are on Instagram for you to see as well. All right, my next projects, there are only two others. They're the same thing. One is in a different kind of stage of done than the other. So we'll go with the first one. This is my sister. If you've been watching me for a while, you know that last year I had a trial of making my sister a hat with ear flaps, a pom-pom, and braids. She also wanted cables, and it had to be in dark gray yarn. This is a very frustrating time because the first hat I sent her was way too big. And the second hat I sent her was still big, but she could make it work. But this year, when I was at my grandparents' for Christmas, she had called me and she's like, you know, I love the hat you made me. It's one of the favorite things I own. However, I would really, really like to have one that fits properly. Could you please do that for me? And I said, well, yes, I can try. And then I was trying to do this whole no buy January thing for yarn. So I said, I can do that, but I wouldn't be able to start a hat in dark gray until February. And she said, well, okay, well, we can do a different color. So I found a different pattern, grabbed a different color yarn. It's just Caron 1 pound in the off-white colorway. And I knit her this first round in the teen size because she has a small head. But even with altering the pattern a little bit to cut out one of the repeats, it was still way too big. And I didn't realize that, unfortunately, until I was already done with the decreases, and I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to tie it off and call it good. So this is the teen size hat. It's covering Stan's entire head. And also for the ear flaps, The pattern has them extra long so you can wrap them around your neck. I didn't do that. I just made them a flap because that would drive her nuts. But it's supposed to be a little heart pattern. And it wasn't perfect. So that one was done. And then I tried again this time. And instead of adding any repeats, I did the 2 cable repeats. And then I stopped and I started my decreases. This is what we came up with. It still kind of covers the head, but it's not going to be as bad. So, and we have these adorable braids. I am going to have to tighten up her pom-pom a little bit because when I had tied it down originally, I didn't realize that part of it was tied and stuck around part of the pom. So it's a little loose right now, but I will be tightening that up, and then I will be sending it to my sister. Hopefully she enjoys it and likes it. Part of the problem with me and knitting her hats is I don't have a lot of true worsted weight yarn, and I have mostly Aran weight. Most hats are written for worsted, and so it doesn't always happen as easily. So I have to size down, or I have to go specifically buy worsted weight yarn, and just kind of seems silly to me because I have worsted weight yarn, but it's only like a skein of indie dyed, and that's not enough to do cables and ear flaps and a braid. So she gets Aran weight, plus it's easy care. So that is all the finished objects I have. I don't really have any whips. If you remember last episode, I was talking about the Dotted Rays shawl that I had started by Stephen West. I have not worked on it at all. My brain has just been muddled everywhere. My boss at work has been out with COVID longer than we thought. So all 4 of us that are left have been picking up the slack and extra shifts. And so there's just, by the time I get home at the end of the day, I'm exhausted and I don't have brain space to do something that requires counting and making sure I'm not missing anything. And so it just has not been a priority. It might wait until later in the year just to make things easier. So that's okay though. Not everything is meant to be worked on right away. I do have some future plans though, and that is, one is going to be my Desert Vista Dye Works socks, because of course tomorrow starts February, which means new month, new socks. I'm not 100% certain what colorway I'm going to do yet. I have a few that have pink in them. I just have to decide which one it's going to be. And that'll be decided on Instagram tomorrow. The other thing I'm going to be casting on, I need to wind it. It's in this bag here. This is a Bags by Awesome Granny, her jellyfish bag. Most of my bags either come from Stitching Plaza or Bags by Awesome Granny because I love bags. I really love Bags by Awesome Granny. She is the nicest woman you'll ever meet, and the bags are beautiful. This is going to be the Golden Hour shawl by Andrea Mowry. The yarn is all honeybee knits. She no longer dyes, but this is her undyed colorway. It's literally just undyed yarn. And then this is Old Denim. This is her DK base. This is showing up a little more blue than it is in real life. It's more of a gray blue than dark blue. And then the final is Wild Strawberry. So that is my plan, and that's kind of the only for sure plans that I have right now. There might be more in the future. I don't know, but that's because we're going to skip ahead to a life segment for a second. My parents are coming into town. So they'll be here. Well, my mom will be here starting the 11th of February, and my dad will come in the following weekend, and they'll both leave after President's Day. But so some of that time, I don't know how much time I'm going to be knitting for the month of February, so I didn't want to give myself too many goals so I don't feel disappointed when I don't get them or meet them. So that's my main life update. I do have one more yarn related thing, and then we'll get into like stash and more life. So my yarn totals for the month, because you know, hypothetical tiaras are important in my life. This month, with all of the projects I finished, and I did give some roving to my friend Alicia, because she is borrowing my spinning wheel, my Kromsky Symphony, and she's learning how to spin. So hopefully she can teach me, because we all know I got this wheel for my birthday like at least 3 years ago, and I still don't know how to spin. I tried to watch a Craftsy video once, and I was doing everything that they were doing in the video, but for some reason I couldn't get the fiber to take up. So I don't know. Sometimes technical things like that, it very much matters in what direction you set things up. And I'm a lefty, so sometimes I set things up backwards without even realizing it, just because it's natural for me to pull with my left hand versus my right. So she's going to learn how to spin, and then she will teach me, because then I'll have someone right there, and she can tell me if the thing that I'm doing wrong is a directionality thing or an actual physical thing I'm doing incorrectly. So she got a lot of roving. So it sounds like I did some serious work this month. She just got a lot of roving. But still, every progress is progress. So I am 2,977 grams down out of 6,000 grams that I need for the end of the year. So you might say, oh my gosh, you're almost halfway there. Things are still going to change. It's only January, and it's very easy that I'm trying to not buy a lot of yarn this year, but it could happen that I do buy some. I don't know. So I have to look at it as being cautious and optimistic. Yes, I am almost halfway, which is great. However, things can change at any moment. And then for yardage, I have used, like completely out of my stash, 1,598 yards out of 13,000 that I need. So good progress is done. There's still more to happen, but it's a great start. This is my little notes for the podcast. I do have 2 stash enhancements I want to show you. One is a book, one is yarn. Hello, Berlin. She is famous for wanting to come and be with me, and I'm not going to complain one bit. So, this is one of my stash enhancements. This is Cat Knits, and it is a book by Marna Gilligan. Hubby and I bought it in Barnes & Noble right after we got back home, and he saw it and he said, Jessica, you need this book. And I agreed, because it's knitting and it's cats. Need I say more? So my only other stash enhancement is, sorry for the crinkling, this beautiful skein right here. This is, of course, Hawaii Bazaar Yarn Co. in the blue and gray colorway with a little mini, as you can see here. That is one of the songs off of the BTS album B. And it was released mid-pandemic, and it was an album no one was expecting, because they had just released one at the start of the pandemic, and then a few months later, this album was out. So they had all worked really hard once lockdown started, and they said, we need to do this for our fans, because we're feeling uncertain and upset and sad, and we need to get these feelings out. And we're sure that the fans are feeling the same thing, because we just had our entire world tour that I had tickets for canceled. So it was a really nice thing, and it was a very emotional album, and it's a wonderful album. If you're at all interested, give it a listen. I know it's not for everyone, and that is okay. All right, that is my BTS spiel for today. As I said, my friend Alicia has my wheel, so hopefully I will be learning to be spinning sometime soon. Other than that, that's all I really have for today. As I said, my parents are coming soon, so hopefully I'll get in an episode before they come, and if not, it'll just be after they leave. So Berlin is going to be the star of the show for a second and clean herself. Say hi, Berlin. Say hi. Such a pretty panther, huh? She's going to sit in the sun and then hide. So, as I said, that's all I have for today. So, until I see you next time, do a Makes Your Heart Sing for me. That's 2 sticks and string. See ya.